What's going on YouTube? Got another knife review here for you. Today we got a Richard Rogers Knives 4F to review. 4F stands for Form Follows Function Flipper. It's quite a mouthful right there. But essentially what you are seeing here is, in my opinion, one of the best knives that I've ever that I've ever handled, quite honestly, in terms of fit and finish, in terms of aesthetics. Just an absolutely beautiful knife. You've got a blade steel of CPM 154, so nothing to write home about, but a good custom knife steel. You got a two-tone blade with this acid stonewash on all the grinds and the swedge, and then you've got this nice hand satin finished flats on here. Even on the flipper right there, you see this beveling all the way throughout that flipper, which is just absolutely beautiful. Adds, I don't know, it just really adds a lot to the aesthetic. You know, this little tiered step on this flipper. It's nice and curved, so there's no hot spot to catch your finger. It doesn't hurt at all. The detent is good. It's not the tightest, but this knife is so smooth that it's almost, I mean, it's just so easy to flip out. Complete effortless flipper, which is just absolutely amazing. You got double bolsters, not double bolsters here, but bolsters on each side of the knife. And then, you know, you see the texturing on the titanium as well. And then you have silver lightning strike carbon fiber scales, again on both sides, and then a milled 3D hardwareless clip to finish it out. On the spine, you've got two pillar construction with a lanyard pin right there, and then again, in terms of blade stops, it's an internal blade stop. If you can focus right there, let's see here. There you go. You see that internal, it runs on a track inside the bolster, so it's got a steel pin that's secured or probably pressed into the blade, and then it just fixes there, so it's all hidden all the way through. Even, you know, in this perspective, it's all hidden. You have to see it from the top of the knife, if you will. So just an absolutely beautiful design. I mean, it's just very intuitive. Even the pivot here, you can see, has a bit of an orange peel finish on the top, on the flat area, and it's even milled, chamfered all the way around the pivot. So two different textures on the pivot, and that's even on the screw head as well. So it's polished on the outer ring of the screw, and then you've got kind of that orange peel finish on the screw. So just amazing detail on this knife. Even another thing, on the inner liners, you see the chamfering on the internal side. You don't see this a lot on any knives to speak of. This is, I mean, in my experience, you know, Richard Rogers is the only one that I've seen do this. And it just adds a lot of comfort. There's no sharp edges on the inside of the knife or whatnot. So if you guys don't know much about Richard Rogers, I mean, he kind of built his reputation first from making really, really ornate multi-bladed slip joints. You can see his webpage at richardrogersknives.com. So he's kind of got a blog there that has a lot of details about his upbringing and you know, just his knife pedigree, if you will. This is the first Richard Rogers knives that I ever got, and I was just turned on to when I first saw the Tangent. I was just amazed by this knife. Again, all the levels of details, and really what kind of caught my eye was the finish of the Lightning Strike carbon fiber. I've had a number of knives with Lightning Strike carbon fiber, whether it was a Burnley or a Lambert or Steve Kelly Collision. I mean, all those knives, even though they looked incredibly beautiful, they all had voids in them. So little pockets in the carbon fiber where it wasn't completely even. And Richard Rogers knives, he polishes out everything. I'm not sure if he uses any kind of epoxy to smooth out holes that might have been existing there, but both on this example and on the 4F, I mean, there are absolutely no voids whatsoever. And also, in dealing with Lightning Strike carbon fiber, typically you'll get some of those copper fibers to stick out of the carbon fiber and kind of catch your finger. Again, these are all polished so smooth that there's nothing catching, your finger outside of the holes right here for the screws. Same thing here on the 4F. The milled clips I just think are beautifully done, fits the line of the knives perfectly. This one as well. You can just even see how that clip is, just with all these beveled edges. It's just really sweet the way it fits. You can see how the blade just falls with its own weight. I know I kind of had to shake it a little bit. I've been flipping this so much, so there might be some dust and grime that's in there. But you can see right there, that smoothness, that fit is quite honestly unmatched. Really, the only knife in my collection, that's as smooth as that knife is my Grimsmo and this Shirogorov right here. That will actually fall on its own weight of the blade. So even the Shirogorov, I need to coerce a little bit to get in. I have to warm it up before it'll start falling on its own weight. So Shirogorovs, they're nothing to snuff at. Definitely fit and finish and everything is really great. I haven't had like an ornate Shirogorov. This is my only Shirogorov with the 95T finish. Again, it's incredibly smooth. The pivot, actually, I've never really noticed it. It has somewhat of a similar finish with that polished ring around there, with that orange peel finish on the flat of that screw, which is kind of nice. But again, with this level of detail, from the bolster to the texture to the line, so it's kind of like this double hollow grind on the scales here. How that matches perfectly to line up with the blade grind and whatnot. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, a lot of the work is done via CNC machine. In terms of grinding out those lines, I guess not really grinding, but machining out all these lines and then milling out the lines, and then it's all hand fitted together, hand finished by Richard to put together the final product. So, I mean, absolutely incredible knife, to be completely honest. I think Richard Rogers doesn't get enough publicity, given all the other big names that are out there. J.W. Smith is one of the other ones where I feel like he doesn't get enough love. But at least Richard Rogers, I feel like is really propelling his name a lot, despite all the great makers that are out there, whether it's Birch or Southard or Rexford. So he's not necessarily quite at that level, but he's definitely made quite a name for himself. But at the same time, he's not big enough, where the demand for his knives are that high. So anyway, I just wanted to get this out there. I really don't know what else to say. I mean, this, again, out of my entire collection, I didn't even say this. This is not my knife. This is my friend's knife. And he's, generously let me borrow this for quite some time, and I just had to get it back to him and get this review out there. Otherwise, I would just keep this forever. But out of all of my knives that I've owned in my collection, quite honestly, this is maybe my top 3 to 5 knives that I've ever owned. Outside of my, RJ Martin Q36, in terms of flipping action, it's unmatched for sure. My Crine Alpha, I don't have it with me right now, but those are some of the best knives that I've ever owned in terms of design and some of the materials that are used. But this knife it's incredible. Ergonomics are perfect. It's got a nice choil up here, you know, for choking up if you really want to. Again, the clip I feel like is absolutely perfect in pocket. To have just this much sit out of your pocket is great. The finish on the Lightning Strike carbon fiber, like I mentioned, the lines, just everything about this knife. The flipping action is absolutely incredible. So this is definitely a knife that is not just on my radar. It's at the center of my radar. This is okay. Let me just say this, and I'll end the video here. This knife, if I were able to get this in this kind of configuration, or maybe with a little bit of anodizing finish, quite honestly, I feel like this knife could complete my knife collecting days. When I got this knife for my friend, I was like, man, I think I would be happy not needing to get another knife ever again. You know, and for knife nuts like us, you know, that's a hard thing to ever say, because there's always something that's, you know, greater, better, you know, than the next one. But this one, after all this time, has just completely blown me away. Every time I handle this knife, I'm like, this is, you know, bar none, one of the best knives that I've ever owned, or ever been able to handle and carry and use and stuff like that. So hopefully that's saying enough with you know, how long I've been here on the knife scene. I'm not saying anything, you know, big about myself, but you know, with all the things, all the knives that I've been able to experience over the course of what, 4 or 5 years now, I guess, which isn't that long. But I've had a lot of knives come through my hands, and whether from production or custom, you know, this has stood out almost the most, to be honest. So anyway, if you guys ever get a chance to get a Richard Rogers 4F, don't pass up the opportunity, because it'll be one of the smoothest and one of the most functional and one of the most beautiful knives that you will get a chance to handle. So, all right, anyway, thanks to my friend who allowed me to play with this knife for so long. It's going to be really sad to see it go, but awesome knife. All right, guys, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. As always, thanks for watching. You guys take care, and I'll see you guys on the next vid.